Alright, hello, this is We Play. We have 9 different mini-games here. This is a Wii Series game, kind of similar to Wii Sports in that it's a bit of a tech demo. We will be sort of jumping between commentary. There's a lot of back and forth, moving straight onto the next game very abruptly. They're all completely separate from each other. We're going for every platinum medal. That is the highest tier in every game. We'll start with Billiards, not here, from start over, to save a couple of second in load times, because this is the most reset heavy. So 3, 2, 1, go. And reset heavy, as you can tell, I have a 10-minute time allocation for this game. And straight off the bat, we are actually knocking a ball off the table. I'm not going to be resetting. It's a bit of an instinct of mine to just reach over to that reset key and then go from there. But what we need for platinum medal here is we need 7 or fewer combined shots and fouls. Now, that's pretty difficult. All the rest of the... So each medal has a different threshold. Here, the break shot, the first shot we're doing, is pretty random. The best break ever recorded is 7. So 7 balls going in one shot, and that's only ever been performed twice. So here we could run this. Even though we technically are behind, I will just try and run these just to see if we can get a run going. It's not necessarily fast in a normal speedrun. But it is an option we have at our disposal here. Now, the best thing about this run is that although it is very difficult and possibly we will have to mercy kill games, the good thing is we can mercy kill games. We can literally just move on and come back to a game that we have not managed to get platinum on if we have time at the end. And my estimates, as long as I don't fail the games where they are not RNG heavy, we should be fine to come back to Billiards near the end. So pretty much the only strat here is just to aim a bit up and to the right. I'm hoping that 7 ball goes in. It did not, but the 1 did. So here we can aim using B rather than just the D-pad. I'm going to kind of tilt my head just to do this. I will do quite a powerful shot just in case we can collide into something else. Is it going to hit that 7? It looks like it might. It barely misses. That's absolutely fine. So the 4 is coming up. Again, we can use A to look at this little... transparent image of the table at the moment. So the issue with this game is that although We Play is very focused on pointer controls, this game uses motion as well. So because this is on the cushion, pretty much the side of the table, I have to be quite careful here because the physics are really bad on the sides. And unfortunately, we have ended up with a cue ball going in. I had to hit it pretty much at full power, otherwise that was not going to work. So here we are now 1 shot behind. So I'm going to do a little bit of backspin just in case I can get something going. That is not expected. Okay, this is why I always run absolutely everything just in case we get something. All we need now is to get this 9 ball in. I'm going to play quite safely. As long as that cue ball doesn't go in as well, which it has. Of course it has. We're going to have to restart. But getting 2 in 1 shot is pretty difficult. So this is... In fact, a little while ago when the guides were being made, please 2 ball go in. Oh, not quite. So that's another 2 break. We're getting kind of unlucky here. Normally you'll get at least 1 or 2 3 breaks in a 10-minute segment for this. So essentially what we're able to do is, yeah, I might reset this. I might reset. Yeah, so I missed the 2 ball there. That's fine. So... Basically, when guides were being made for this game, pretty comprehensive guides, they are currently a work in progress, but yeah, definitely worth looking into if they are done by the time you see this, if you want to get into this game. So here again, I'm going to just try and fire into the others. Unfortunately, the cue ball went in, so that's going to count as a foul. That's going to set me back even further, so we are going to reset again. Yeah. So, out of all the runs on the leaderboard in every category, even in the ones where you don't necessarily need to reset, so for any of the bronze, silver, or the gold medal categories, everyone that changes the game order around, rather than going game 1 to game 9 in numerical order, always puts Billiards first. Every single runner in their PB puts it first. There are some runs where people didn't put it first. They had to go in order for stuff like competitions in the Wii series and things like that. But for the most part, people did put this first, and it is first for a reason. So here we can do a pretty straight shot, just fire straight there. Is the cue ball going in? Not quite. We are in a very bad position there, though. So essentially, the aiming will go straight towards the target ball. We do need to hit that target ball first. There are some rules that apply from normal billiards compared to this. But there are some strange rules. So, for example, the 9 ball just went in, and the game didn't end. If you've played stuff like Clubhouse Games Billiards, you'll know that it does follow 9 ball rules, and you can literally just do a shot at the beginning, get the 9 ball in, and you are out of billiards in 20 seconds. Whereas here, that is not the case. So here again, I'm carrying this on even though we're behind, because there is a small chance that this 4 ball and the 8 ball both go in. It is worth that little bit of time just to try and hedge my bets a little bit here. Luckily, that has worked out. Please, cue ball, be nice. Thank you. This angle is not great because I'm going to have to fire and the cue ball is going to have to sort of buzz around a little bit. Hopefully, we do end up in a decent position for this 6 ball, though. And if I do get this in, we will be out of billiards in just over 6 minutes. So, hoping this goes well. Now, the motion controls do make this really hard to control, especially your power. That is definitely the one thing to get used to when you're starting out in billiards. We are now 4 minutes ahead, according to my time allocation. So that is very, very nice. We did not get a single 3 break. That's really unlucky. But we are out now. We're on to fishing. Now, fishing is another one that I put really early in my personal game order. However, that is for PB attempts. And PB attempts are very, very different. Here is a very bad pond. We will reset that. And again, we will reset that. There are no red fish in there. Touchy fish are the highest value basic fish in the game. So we will absolutely reset until we get some of those. Now, I do want to get that small fry off of me because that will subtract points. So basically, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to catch every fish I can. So essentially on fishing, there is an invisible timer. And every time we catch a fish, that timer is going to go down. Sorry, not go down. It's going to pause. So that essentially means every fish we catch is going to cost us about 3 seconds. So in PB attempts, especially top runs, people often just go for as few fish as possible, notably in bronze medal, where you only need 1,000 points. Here we need 2,600. So for the... we're getting green here, unfortunately, because of the order that they were biting. Mystery, they spawn randomly, and they only take 2 bites, so that's very nice. Each one takes a certain number of bites. And the greens take 2, yellows take 3, but they let go very quickly. And reds take 4, but they start zipping around if we approach them from behind. So, as long as we just catch every fish here, we should be okay. That's why I'm already on 9 fish. A really top-level platinum medals speedrun would normally catch something like... Ah, that's unfortunate. It would normally catch something like 9 or 10 fish, which is really good. Bronze medals would catch 2 fish. And that's because you can get one of these touchy fish, the red fish. Especially the big ones, they give slightly more points. And the king, which is about to appear soon. There is only 1 king in every game. And it will always appear at a set interval. So hopefully, when we get that, we will be able to get it on bonus. Now, then we need 5 bites for this fish. And I am conscious of that small fry getting in my way. So this counter is going to reset. That's fine. Oh, no. Okay, right. We're in a bit of trouble now. I don't think I'm getting the bonus on the king. But that's okay. So I'm just going to focus for the end of this. Okay. No, that's so unfortunate. We would have had that if the small fry didn't get in the way. So that was a really unlucky game. This is why I do still have 7 minutes attached to fishing, because that does give us 2 full games of fishing to get this done. We did get really unlucky with the fish placements. The thing is, even though some of the fish do add points on, that was a really unlucky king because I couldn't really shake off the rest of the fish. The king is so wide that you can drag him round the pond and sort of get the other fish off of your hook without them actually sort of going after you still. Which is nice. However, it didn't really work there because there were just fish all around. So no matter where I turned, it just wasn't really working out. Now, there are some ways of getting rid of some of the fish. So any of these normal fish, the greens, the yellows, and the reds, they will stay in the pond until they're caught. They will never despawn. The grey fish, though, the small fry, they subtract 50 points. So to make the game a little bit nicer, if they start approaching you, and whether they hit your hook or not, after they stop approaching you or let go of your hook, they will actually despawn. So here we're going to demonstrate it. That is going to despawn in a moment, after a second, as these red fish zipping around. Unfortunately, it did spawn another one. So you can sort of chain them together. You can only have 2 of a fish maximum in the pond, and only 1 mystery and 1 king. And that was another thing that was unlucky last game. We did only get 1 mystery. It is possible to get 0, and you can get 4, and the task does get 4 as well, which is quite funny. So here, see, a lot safer here. We are going for the 2600 before the king has even spawned in. And again, these green fish are really interfering with the progress here. We do have 2680 now, so that is going to end the game. And while we have a little bit of downtime, it's a great time for donations or messages. But for this purpose, I'm going to explain score skip a little bit, because we're not going to get to that for a long time. There's another mystery fish, very nice. So 11 fish, by the way, that's a really good fishing. I normally get 10 in my PB attempts, so of course the fail doesn't help, but we are still out ahead of time, so that's absolutely fine. We did get 5 touchy fish there too, so that was a lot luckier. So score skip, essentially you can see scoreboard here, and normally you get a little new high score banner up here. Now that costs about 3.1 seconds whenever you get that. And we're going to move on to Find Me now. This is actually a chat interactive game. People can help with this one, and that is allowed on the boards. And that has been... world records do actually use people in the same room helping on Find Me, because it's just the nature of that sort of game. Now, what we can do is essentially there is a skip found by Maya, or Resonation, a little while back. Only a couple of months ago, actually, and it sparked a lot of interest in the game again. A lot more competition in a lot more categories than there were. So, essentially, and we're not, unfortunately, going to have splits for sub-splits. I do not have predictions for every sub-split. As much as I would have liked to, we don't really need that. We have 17 minutes for Find Me, though, and that's kind of because I like having a little bit of leniency just in case I want to play safe. Because we could run out of time here, and then that would be pretty bad. We would probably have to mercy kill the game and move on, at least for the time being. So score skip, essentially, what it means is when you first create your save file, and level 8 is possibly one of the most awkward levels here, because of the way the Miis spawn, if one of those bottom few Miis is correct, it's going to take ages for them to come back on the top of the screen. So that's why I sort of hold one, just in case it's that Mii that's correct. So essentially, when you first create your Mii, or your save file for WePlay, it will prompt you to create a save file. You say yes, and you will only have one game unlocked, and that game is, oh, it is you. It takes a little bit of focus, this game. That game is Shooting Range. That's game number 1. So you do have to play in numerical order. And that's what you're doing in all games NG run. So you would have to play them in order there. And here, I do need the fastest Mii. 4 to 3 actually not helping me in this game because it sort of cut the Mii off. And that was Mike Wazowski. I do have some very silly Miis for this. That's the only way I'm able to beat this game. I'm really bad at it without. Some runners can do it without having these silly Miis, though. But essentially, score skip, once you've set it up, basically, when you first create your profile, or your save data, you... let me just get this answer here again. So these correct Miis have to be on different escalators. That is a rule of the game. And it is the alien. Should have known. That was another silly Mii. So when you first create a save file, there will actually not be... Nice little split there. There will not actually be any access to medals. And that is what we are doing in this category. We're getting all 9 platinum medals. So you can actually get high scores that exceed the thresholds of those medals without getting the medal. Now, the medal categories state that you have to not have any medals before you do the run. So what we're able to do is we're able to get scores, but we don't have medals. So it's a valid profile. so we're able to essentially then save it on an SD card, and then every time we reset, we will need to grab the save data from the SD card, which is unusual in Wii series. There are sort of different ways around it in every Wii series game so that you don't need SD card saves, but this is the only way in this game. Otherwise, you'd need to set up your score skip file every single time, which takes several hours. Now, you don't need this for runs, but it is really important at a top level. It saves about 30 seconds, or 25 to 30 seconds, so it's really important. But essentially, as long as we get lower than the 5th place score on the leaderboard, we will get score skip, we will save 3 seconds. And that is kind of what sparked so much interest in these categories recently, because they're so beatable now. A lot of these categories only have about a minute of time save against some of best, and when you're dealing with games like Find Me and Tanks, where, you know, a sum of best is just unrealistic, 30 seconds of free time save is unheard of. So, naturally, there is a lot more interest in the categories now. So here, now we're getting a lot of zoomed out levels. We are starting to see something called hitbox strat. Now, you might notice I'm normally aiming sort of my cursor at the top of the screen. The reason for that is because there is actually a strat in this game where if you... there I am. That's my me. Yeah, it took me a little while to spot that. The water levels are very difficult. So, especially on these stairs levels, what I'm doing is I'm sort of seeking around in a straight line, and you will notice that at some point there's a bit of a blip. And what that essentially tells me is that that is the correct me. So there it was Shaq. So essentially what that does for me is it gives away the correct answer sometimes. And let me just get the correct answer there. So it makes the game a lot easier, especially at the harder levels. Not necessarily to make sure you don't game over, not just that, but also to go quicker. Now again, another strat, these escalator levels, they can only have one correct me per escalator. So we will often look through the escalator with the least me's, and that will help us out a bunch. Now all these conditions, they're always the same. Not necessarily the same me's, but they're always the same condition on each level. And there are 99 levels here. We do need to beat 80 for this run. And here I'm looking out for a beanie me. I will take a little bit of time just to see if there is one. If there's not one with a coloured hat, that's absolutely fine. We will just take one there. And here, it is always the one that steps left first. The others step right first. I will always press one me at the beginning, though, just to see if I can guess the correct me. Now, I know it's one of these two now. And then that's it. But even if you get stuck on that level, you can just brute force it. You only lose 5 seconds per me. And then here, I'm just going to seek out again. And even here, you can use hitbox strat on this slightly zoomed out level. It's not as effective because the hitbox isn't much bigger, but it does still help. So there's lots of things you can do in this game to make it easier. And this is why this game is so nice, because a lot of top runners, when they were younger playing this game, just were not able to touch any of these medal requirements, even casually. Myself included. I did not have many of the medals at all. Some of them I couldn't get past bronze, to be honest. But with stuff like hitbox strat, it makes this game so much more accessible from a speedrunning standpoint. So here, there we go. It is the black beanie. Now, another thing to mention, you might notice these Miis look very similar. Now, heights and weights don't come into the equation in Find Me. It makes the game a lot harder. Yeah, so it's Aang from Avatar. Yes, hey, something else plays. Good to see you. Yeah, so essentially, it makes the game a lot harder. However, what we can do, and even then, we don't even have access to the me favorite colors. Normally, we would have that. However, there is a way to get around that. Instead of looking at the shirt colors, which are sort of these little... They're really nice pastel colors. However, they're not very helpful for us as speedrunners to find the answer quickly. But what we can do is we can use hats and beanies and things to give away that favorite color, because they didn't make all of the hats the same color in this game. Now that is really a saving grace of this of Find Me. Would make this game so much harder if that wasn't a thing. Everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Exactly. So here, Jack Black again. I did actually make a lot more of these Miis recently. There are a few strats. A lot of different runners use different methods, really. Personally, I like to use a lot of different funny Miis. However, some people like to just have a simple smiley face and then have a certain different colour on the hat. So essentially, it's the same Mii, except there's a different favourite colour. So you just remember them by the hat colours rather than the actual Mii. Which kind of does make it easier for me personally. I do prefer this way. But again, that's what makes this run so nice. It's completely up to preference. Your game order's completely up to preference. It's just a really nice category. A really nice speed game, really. So there are shorter categories as well. There's All Games. All Games is a lot of auto-scrollers, but it is still the flagship category of the game. So it should be recognised. Personally, it's not my favourite. I've still never done a run of NG. NG is just not my thing. Because even NG+, because NG+, you start with Billiards. In NG, you have to play Billiards as your 6th game. And obviously, we saw earlier on how reset-heavy Billiards is. So you can imagine in a run where you just have to finish the game. So in Find Me, you literally just throw your 15 seconds at the beginning and that's it. That would make that run very, very tedious. Yeah, Garfield. Always, I never spot it's Garfield. Every time. The moment I see Garfield, I just instantly think, right, I need to look to see if it's Garfield, just in case it is. Because I know I'm going to get trolled by Garfield otherwise. And it's funny, because I could just delete Garfield, but that's just not fun. I'm not going to do that. I've created him now. I'm not going to delete him. Yeah, I literally just have these Miis specifically for Find Me, and that's it. Before I played this game, before I speedrun it, I literally did not bother with these Miis at all. So it is quite funny that I've just gone from having just myself, and I guess a few family members, to having all these different Miis. MeCharacters.com is very useful. Yeah, definitely, for stuff like this. Because I am not a very artistic person, and the tools that the Mii channel on the Wii gives you are very limited. So, yeah, very, very good to have that at my disposal. The clock there, really, really nice. That was one of my first Miis I created. I think that my first plan was just sort of go through... oh, I know it's not you. To sort of go through how to create a burger Mii on YouTube and then just sort of refresh my recommendations and then see what it would throw at me. How to make a clock face. Sure, okay, I'll make that one. And that was actually a teal split. Very nice. That's my equivalent of gold. Yeah, see, the Switch has so many more customization options, which is really nice. And especially on stuff like, what is it, Miitopia? What am I looking for? There I am. Yeah, it's on your Switch Lite. Yeah. I don't actually have a Switch Lite. I just have the base Switch. Don't really see the point in upgrading, to be honest. But yeah, definitely see the reason people would, though. Or not upgrading, but OLED and stuff like that. The different models. So we are coming near the end of the game, and this is a very, very zoomed out level. So we can do hitbox strat here. Really, really useful on ones like this, because water levels, it's so hard to spot the answer. It does work in crowds as well. So not just zoomed out levels, but also crowds. It works really, really nicely. And here, so we have 2 lookalikes, so I am going to keep searching between these. Unfortunately, those Miis I think would have disappeared very early on, and because the level is so zoomed out and the Miis are so slow, it takes a really long time for them to go back onto the top of the screen and wrap around again. So that was a bit of a slow split, but that's absolutely fine. We get a little bit of a blue cap going on. That's going to help me a lot. I'm actually going to sort of make a note for myself that that's blue. Just so I don't forget. Because some of these levels now, there are actually a few levels here rather than just 2 before we get back to the Find Your Favourite level. So it goes without saying, the Find Your Favourite level, the Choose Your Favourite level is guaranteed to be a win. You can pick any Mii. It's just the Find Your Favourite, you have to remember that Mii. That was a very lucky spot, actually. I did not see that from Hitbox Strat. So I'm just searching for the other one. I think he might have just gone off the screen at the beginning again. See, this is the balance, because you can look at the bottom to stop that Mii from disappearing, but at the same time, if you look at the top, you can use Hitbox Strat. So people that are really good and knew about Hitbox Strat could really utilize that. Really nice, barely able to clip onto that Mii and get that clear. So yeah, they could utilize that. So they could sort of search themselves at the bottom, but then you could also search manually. No, it's not you. Actually, they're not hitbox stratting, so I think it's you. Yeah. Nice instinct there. Very good. So you can sort of seek through the right, seek through the bottom, and use hitbox strat on the top of the screen, and that would help you a lot. Now it does look like we're going to come under estimate a little bit in Find Me, which is quite nice. So a couple of me's there. Again, stairs levels, really nice for hitbox strat. Now I should mention, if you're going for a serious like world record or PB attempt, lots of the time when you're getting down to really tiny optimizations, having help from other people would often just be slower. So there is that element of it in the as much as it kind of feels off that you're able to use other people to help, in most world records, people don't really use help because it takes too long to for other people to sort of communicate the answer between people, especially over sort of Twitch chat and VC and stuff like that. But it can help you if you're in a bit of a pinch and you are close to timing out. Now here, there is a bit of an interesting strat. Now this is utilized in platinum medals and in silver medals. So I think here it is going to be... I'm just trying to find the answer because there's no strat on this level, but there is coming up. So it looks like it is you. Very nice. That is probably the only bad level, honestly. I think the rest of this went pretty solid. So here we see find 2 odd me's out. Now, I've already seen one at the beginning, but I'm not going to pick that me just yet. I'm going to look for the other one as well, just so I'm planning ahead. And there's that one. I've actually picked him already. That's absolutely fine. So the question mark is the other correct me. Now, what I'm able to do is I'm actually going to be draining my time. Now, I'm not done yet, and I've gained 10 seconds. So that doesn't sound very intuitive. But it actually is, because here, we need to pick 5 me's to drain 5 seconds. On the previous one, we only needed to pick 1 me to drain 5 seconds, and not just that, we can pick 2 at a time. So it speeds it up a lot, and here we're getting hitbox strat, very nice. Hitbox strat. We're getting score skip, 3 seconds saved, very cool. Platinum medals, that is done. We're moving on to tanks 20. Now we're going to see tanks twice in this run. People love tanks. This is the one game people remember. We play to most people, or it's got to be millions of people, remember this as the tanks game. However, here, it's no different. Platinum Medal sees a lot of tanks, and the reason for that is because of a little bit of a caveat of how the Platinum Medal works in this game. So, what we need to do is we need 30 missions. Now, there are only 20 missions in base tanks. So what we have to do, and very nice, lucky direction there, and we're going to save a tiny bit of time by breaking that wall rather than going around. That saves literally only a second or so. And also, that grey tank at the top going left rather than right is also quite good. So there are different tank grades. I will get onto those in a minute. But for now, I'm going to explain why we need to play tanks twice. So, essentially, what we need to do is we need to play 30 missions. There are only 20 unlocked by default. So what we can do is we can play 1 to 20 as normal. Very nice. Getting a bonus tank there. We're not just stuck on 3 lives permanently. That would make this very, very scary for a no reset. So we do have 6 lives in a 20 attempt. Hopefully we get a couple more kills there. Unfortunately not. That's absolutely fine. So the teals and the grey tanks are very defensive, so I am having to just sort of go up and approach rather than hope that the tank comes towards me, because that probably won't happen. So once we've played 20, we will need to play the entire game again to unlock the full 100 missions and play 30 of them. So some of those are actually randomized. So these 20, they're all predetermined. So this is very, very practicable, very repeatable, very, very nice to practice. Now, Mission 8, again, this is another really, really tedious one, because the teal tanks, that is an SD. That is very unusual. That does happen sometimes, but it is quite unusual to see. Unfortunately, I got too close to that mine there, and it did automatically blow up. So I'm going to start to explain the tank grades now. So we have the yellow tanks there, debuting on Mission 8. Your cat came to chill with you. Let's go. So this tank is a little bit stuck here. And we did also see an SD, so I will also explain that. Now, tanks normally won't fire bullets or anything like that when they are close to other friendly tanks on their team. That's sort of to avoid friendly fire, otherwise we would end up with a situation where the tanks just SD all the time, especially these yellow ones, which sort of just charge in anywhere. Ironically, that was the one that caused the SD there, which was quite funny. Now, you can also have that happen with stuff like mines. Now, mines and also these red tanks, they are going to be firing fairly quickly. They have quite a high fire rate early on in the game. Yeah, so SD is self-destruct. Yes, good question, good question. So mainly a sort of a term I've adopted from like fighting games and things. But the self-destruct is sort of it's kind of friendly fire, less of a self-destruct, more of a friendly fire sort of thing. Now here I am having to sort of fire my bullets at walls, which is slightly quicker because essentially our bullets have a ricochet limit of 1. Once it ricochets for the second time, the bullet will destroy. And importantly, we will get that straight back in our refire, or our refresh. So what we have is we have a bullet limit of 5, and I'm firing straight at that green tank. These green tanks fire degree level angles if they're on a wild one, and so we do have to play very, very safe around them in a no reset. But we do have strats to deal with them, at least on these predetermined levels. So what we can do is, yeah, we're sort of firing at walls because we have a bullet limit of 5, and unfortunate there, I was trying to defend myself. Unfortunately, the teal fired at a slightly different angle. We're still on 3 lives. It's absolutely fine. And we do actually have enough time at our disposal at the moment for a game over, actually, for us to finish under an hour and a half, which is very nice. So I'm firing at walls to sort of refresh my bullets quicker because it means the bullet is going to have its second ricochet quicker. Now, some of the enemy tanks do have more or less ricochets. You might have noticed that green tank had 2 ricochets. It's the only tank in the game to have that. Now here, this is another one that I have a few strats on, so I'm going to fire 5 bullets at the bottom there. I'm going to blow up a mine that I've just planted, and I have a mine limit of 2. That often won't really apply to us, though. We don't really need to be too concerned about that. I'm not going to use up all of those. Now here, the green tank actually got moved, which is not very helpful, so I am going to have to fire at different angles just to get rid of it. And you can go around that way and approach the green tank on the left side, but the safer way is to go around here and just fire straight at it. And not even just that. That doesn't even lose that much time to that. So honestly, in a no reset, absolutely understandable to go for that. No, I haven't refunded you yet. I will do it when I next review the channel points. I'll do it after stream if I remember. So the purple tanks are very similar to the reds, except they're a lot more defensive. Reds are very offensive. That was a very nice play there. Hey, Game Sodas. So yeah, we get another bonus tank now. We have 4 left for the final 5 missions, and then we can have a little reset, and we're going to go back to mission 1. I have to play all 30 all again, because that will be the point we have plat unlocked. So here, I actually need to get on this right side, fire at this green tank, and it will get it out of the way. Unfortunately, we've not got it out of the way. So we're kind of stuck here now. The purple tank was sort of approaching me too. Now, as much as this looks risky, I actually kind of prefer this method now. Because of that green tank being pretty dangerous, the old method that I used was to approach it from this side where my cursor is now and sort of fire a ricochet bullet at the wall, the top wall, and get a bit of a precise angle to kill it early. But I do actually kind of prefer that method because not only is it faster, it's also a little bit safer when you get used to it. So knowing your strats and sort of doing a full run of a 20 mission tanks when you first get started is a really nice thing to do. And here I'm again playing fairly safe against all these tanks just to make sure we're challenging them all one at a time. And we are actually still on for a very, very good run of tanks. I've only ever had about 5 or 6 sub 8 minute runs for tanks 20, and this is looking to be not far off from sub 8, so that's a very, very good sign. And that is sort of the good thing about playing fairly safe. We do have another death there. And an interesting quirk of gold is... So yeah, yeah, the interesting quirk of gold is... We are gonna... I'm just gonna fire early here rather than at the wall. Just to make sure I'm safe. Nice one. Not sure why the purple tank didn't fire at me there. I think the cannon was the wrong direction. So, deaths actually... the death screens won't be required to be seen in gold medal. So, the death screens, every one that I get is going to be raw time loss. However, it works slightly differently for most other medals. Every other medal in the game, we are going to be... this is pretty difficult because I'm dealing with 2 at a time. But I do like breaking through that wall. It's a little bit faster. This is a very long level if you go the long way. Nice. Barely got my bullet back in time there. And we are still absolutely okay. Just going to play safe a little bit here while I try and take these last few out, and then I'll explain where I was at. There we go, nice. And again, final tank, so I can sort of just fire straight at the tank and hopefully we get the kill. We did not, but no, we're absolutely fine. We've cornered them, and we can get that kill. Now, that took a very long time, so we're on for a sub-9 now, but that's fine. Final mission, these are the white tanks. These white tanks are going to go invisible, but we do have tracks to follow. And hopefully, they do have mines as well, but we can just take them out, and that is it. So the levels are predetermined for 1 to 20. 21 to 100 are random, in part. We will see 21 to 30 in this run. So as I was saying, the deaths are... not required in gold medal. However, when we go for the platinum medal, we are going to have to see the death screens because we need to SD, or yeah, that is SD that time because we're literally just firing at ourselves at the wall. We have to do that so we can game over and collect our platinum medal. So actually losing lives in the platinum run is not as costly as in the gold medal. So when you're doing PB attempts, very important to play nice and kind of safely in a way, so as to not cost you extra death screens. Now, I should mention there is a strat, technically, that avoids those death screens, even in a gold medal run, and that is the frame perfect death. So this has been seen at least once in an actual speedrun performed by a human. And what essentially entails is... oh, that's a death on mission 4. That's unfortunate. Yes, so you can do that. Yes, there is friendly fire in this game. Which is good, because it does make our life easier to SD at the end and take our platinum medal quicker. So I'm playing a little bit safer now, seeing as we are down 1 life fairly early. I could reset and then go back to mission 1, but I would rather just continue it. We're back to 3 lives now, and 3 is the magic number here. I like to be on 3. As soon as you're below 3, it's a bit scary. So yeah, spraying at the wall, really, really nice strat, because you can normally take out at least 2 tanks fairly cheaply. Just going around that bullet there. And the good thing about the teals, they are defensive, which is not good as a speedrunner. However, you can always avoid them as long as you are always moving. If you are moving, for the most part, they're going to fire directly at you. Unless it's like the beginning of the mission and it's that teal tank right at the beginning, because for some reason it fires at a different angle than you are actually at. They will fire directly at you. Some tanks will not do that. But... teal tanks are really easy to avoid for that reason. So here I'm being very conscious of the mines. I know there's a mine there. I did hear the noise. Very, very good to be aware of your surroundings in this game. Because it being a 2.5 dimensional game does not help when you're dealing with stuff like mines and things like that. So again, very, very difficult layout for teal tanks because they are defensive. Good thing is, though, they are paired with the yellow tanks, which lay down a lot of mines. They actually have a mine limit of 4. So they are constantly laying mines all the time. And actually here, I'm going to lay one myself so I can get over to the other side slightly quicker and die, apparently. That was not intended. We're back down to 2 lives. I'm going to play a little bit safer now. We are still quite far ahead of my 1 hour 30-minute estimate. And the good thing is with this estimate, if I finish ahead, because that is still possible, world record in this is my PB is only slightly off from that at the moment. Yo, Kyra, how's it going? Midathan, hello, Kyra83. Doing a marathon submission, so I'm kind of focused, but I hope you're doing well. Yeah, so the good thing is with this submission, if I finish ahead, I've mentioned mercy killing games, but the positive side is that if I finish really far ahead, such as getting a run that's pretty close to PB, and then I would finish 25 minutes ahead, is that I can do tanks 1P2C, which is 1 player, 2 controllers. Essentially, there is a single run on the leaderboard that has achieved... Oh, I think that was one of my own bullets coming towards me there. That's unfortunate. I'm going to go the long way. Oh, actually, no, there's only 1 tank left. That's fine. We can go this way. So I'll just play safe around that explosion just to make sure I don't SD on that. There we go. Nice. So tanks 1P2C, essentially I stick 2 Wii remotes together with a rubber bands. And it means that I can freely aim, but sort of hold the Wii remotes together a little bit easier. That's my preferred method of doing tanks 1P2C. There is a runner that has achieved tanks 5 1P2C, which is a lot more achievable, but 20 is much harder, and that is because of the way 1P2 co-op itself operates. So whether you're playing 1P2C or not, the way it operates essentially is there is no life system. As long as one person survives each mission, the other person is revived between the missions. So I'm just going to preemptively fire just in case that teal goes up there. They did not, but that's absolutely fine. Getting all those kills. Very nice. And even though I was actually shooting the wall there, so I should theoretically have died to my own bullets, I did not because if you're too close to the wall, the bullet actually won't come out, which is kind of a nice way of preventing yourself from just straight away firing at the wall directly at itself. Sort of a very nice beginner measure. And even then, quite nice in speedruns too. Especially these no resets where we're on 2 lives. Very conscious of that rocket bullet there. I thought that might actually hit that wall where the hole is. So these holes, they're not actually holes we can fall in and die. But they're simply acting like regular walls. So they are slightly different though in the fact that this is a 2.5 dimensional game and we can see through those holes rather than regular walls where they are built up very highly like on this level and we can't see through them. So here again, going to play my mine strat. We are almost onto these. I am going to have to get out of there. Wow, that's close. Okay, I'm scared now because I'm going to have to deal with this green the wrong way. Nice. And the rewards we reap for that is the fact that we can challenge these purples much easier. Their AI isn't really programmed to anticipate us coming through the 1 block gap in the wall. It is intended for when we go the long way on the left side, the purple at some point is going to think, I need to go the other way because I'm a defensive. And I need to get out before this blue guy comes towards me. However, when you come through a 1 block gap, you can just fire straight through. So, again, more reasons why that strat is really underrated, honestly. I've only started using that strat for the last couple of months. Definitely, when you get started with tanks running, you can look at how the IL runners do it, because there are lots of games, Find Me and Tanks, the main ones in this game, where there are people on that leaderboard that have world records, or even multiple world records, and have never run full games. So they've never run all games, they've never run medal categories, and that's because they're just that good at that game, at that specific game. Unfortunately, I can't really take out this steel tank right now. It's being really annoying. There we go, we're finally done. Now I can move through. So I kind of wait until... That's annoying. I kind of wait until I've actually taken out that tank to sort of move on. Otherwise, it's going to be just really slow. Because I'm going to have to come back for that one at the end anyway. So here, I'm just going to preemptively fire just in case I can get a few cheap kills. And there we go. Cheap kills obtained. Very nice. We are down to 2 lives again, which is scary. I'm going to fire at this wall. Now, the wall strat is not ideal in some cases because it takes a lot of quick thinking to then think how exactly to defend yourself. The good thing is if you only use 4 bullets, that is a lot safer because then you've always got 1 to defend yourself with. Problem with that is that obviously you've got less chance of getting the kill. Honestly, it really does depend on the runner. Some might see this as a very high-level strategy rather than a safe, beginner-friendly strat. But personally, it really just depends on whether you find playing slower or anything like that safer. Because in games like this, offense can be the best defense. It's pretty cliche, but it is true. And here is the final tank. Still a bit difficult to deal with. I'm going to be on 1 life if I die here. Okay, that is difficult. Right, we're on 1 life now. Obviously, if I do complete this, we're going to be on 2 going into the next 5 missions, which is not ideal. Straight away getting that kill. Now, that is normally what happens here. When you start off that 1v1 against the white tank, you know where it is. There are no bullets challenging you at that moment, so it's not too concerning. Now here, I am absolutely going to go the long way. 2 lives is not ideal here. Now, we are starting to get to the randomized levels. Now, from now on, every multiple of 5 is randomized, predetermined, similar to, oh no. Did not see that bullet. Okay, this is bad. Again, we can still finish underestimate if I game over here. So I'm probably going to go quite quiet during this. I do plan on having commentators for a run like this, and this is exactly why. But essentially, we have 4 tanks right now, and multiples of 5 will still be predetermined in part, but there will always be, on these ones, so 25 will be partially randomized, and multiples of 10 will be fully predetermined, similar to 1 to 20. Now, these tank grades, they are randomized, so nice getting 2 brown tanks here, which is quite good. Just playing safe, I don't want to game over to a brown tank. That would be very embarrassing considering they are the first ones you encounter. They do not fire very often, they fire pretty randomly, and they just aren't really designed to be the ones out to get you at this stage in the game. So that would be quite embarrassing. We do still have 3 more missions, though, before we get another extra life, which is not ideal. But that's okay. So, one thing that we do have, though, even though it is randomized, the layout is also randomized, but it is only partially randomized. So, there is a pool of 2 different layouts on each mission. It will randomly generate between the 2. That's at least what is believed to be what the randomize is in this game. So I'm going to just get that red, just play safe now. Make sure that teal uses that bullet. Get that white tank, very nice. I'm going to just shoot at the wall here and just go around that bullet the long way just to be very safe. Now, that's not going to kill that teal tank, unfortunately. That teal's coming back down towards me, so we can play safe there. 1 final mission before we get a final bonus life. And this one, the tank grades are 2 yellows, a teal, and a red. That's fine. Take out that red. Now, that yellow is going to fire at me, so just sort of anticipating that early there. Just going to fire at where I think it's going to go. That was quite lucky. The yellow also played ball there. The yellows, I kind of like to use the analogy. I use a lot of analogies. They're kind of like Clyde in Pac-Man. They're very sporadic, and they're very unpredictable, and that's what makes them scary. A lot of people write them off, but the fact that they can fire so many mines at you and just be a nuisance is not ideal in a run like tanks. It is not ideal at all. Later on, there are, and especially when you're doing a tanks IL, they can just sort of be there. But when you're counting on every possible second in a PB attempt in a full game run, you do not need those coming after you. Now here, I'm a bit scared. This layout's not very good in terms of safety. But we're back down to 1 tank and get that kill there. We have 3 left. And we'll be closing out tanks after 50 missions. It's a very long segment compared to the other runs. Of course, gold medals, we can just simply play the 20 missions and end it there. And that's kind of why the game sort of, or Wii Series in general, sort of recognises platinum medals as sort of an afterthought. Well, not an afterthought, but more of a an Easter egg sort of thing, because it mainly says, why don't you try for all the gold medals when you unlock medals, and then when you get all the gold medals, it will then come up with a pop-up sort of saying, or in some games it will say, now try for platinum, sort of giving it away, or maybe there's another tier of medal or something like that. In a lot of similar games, first-party Nintendo games where there are medals, they will do that. So here, this is another one. This is completely predetermined. This is 2 purples, 2 whites, and a green. Now, the green is very awkwardly placed. Please do not game over on mission 30. I will mercy kill it if we game over here. It goes without saying. I'm just going to fire directly here just to see if we can get some cheap kills. I'm then going to... The green is being pushed towards me. I don't like that. This is not what I'm used to. Okay, we are done. That is very scary in a no reset. I mean, obviously, Billiards, RNG heavy. That scary. I am doing a lot of tanks practice to mitigate the chance of me gaming over here. Gaming over is not likely. It's only the fact that I sort of lost a lot of lives very early on. And yeah, take the last 2 deaths, and that is a split. And I'm actually going to get an inaccurate gold split here, because that's the first time I have finished 30 on 2 lives. So here we won't get score skip because we can't get past 84. You can't unlock the full game here without having the gold medal, even if you have beaten all 84 missions. So we are done, and we are still comfortably ahead. We're going to go into table tennis. Now, table tennis is not much time assigned. Now, essentially what this is very difficult. So in one player, and I will go very, very quiet on this, and this is why, again, I will have commentators, hopefully, for any run I submit. This is a very basic game in one player. 2 player, there's sort of spin involved and stuff like that. And even then, this is not the only occurrence of table tennis. Most people will probably know table tennis from Wii Sports Resort. That is a good implementation of table tennis. Actually puts this game to shame. One player is even worse, though, because literally the only thing you can do is do this rally with the CPU that will either go left, middle, or right. Now, I'm playing close to the net just to save a few frames per shot. Now, you'll notice very, very slightly that it's a fraction of a second slower per shot for each one I play safe on. Now, you will notice as well the ball is getting a little bit faster, and you'll notice, especially on Platinum Medal, that is going to be very difficult to deal with. So, if I start getting close to failing against my estimate, what I'm going to do is a pause buffer strat. Now, pause buffering has been used in Platinum Medal runs before, and also longer runs where you need 999 points to sort of max out the score counter. Completely absurd run. Pause buffer for about 40 minutes in world records right now. It's just a completely ridiculous category. But it does exist, and it does implement Tanks 100 as well, which is much nicer to show off in a run. I'm impressed I actually managed to do that while carrying on to commentate, honestly. Yeah, moving on. We will move on to Platinum Medal. Similar to Tanks, we need to get the Gold Medal first and then play again to get the Platinum Medal unlocked. Now, we will get a little bit of a slowdown after 100 points and 150 to sort of make the game a little bit nicer. But it's really not very nice. Past about 170, there is every chance I game over. I need to be very, very sharp with my reactions. And I do have 10 minutes to spare, thankfully. But if we do start to run thin on the time, I will start to pause buffer. So essentially what we can do is we can just mash plus a bunch of times. Not even mash plus, but just keep pressing pause. When you pause, hey Matt Gamer, how's it going? Yeah, so when the game is paused, the bat will freeze, but you can still move the cursor, of course, because the menus are operated by the cursor as well. Or they can be. You have the option of that, or the D-pad. So, what we can do is we can sort of move the cursor in the menu, unpause, and then the bat will, within only a few frames, teleport to where the cursor is. Now, that means you have a very safe, still not guaranteed, unless you play very, very, very safe and slowly. But you do have a safe Platinum Medal in table tennis. So if you just want to run on the board, it is a completely valid strategy. In fact, right now, my Medal Marathon World Record has pause buffering in table tennis. It is so valid. Nobody will get judged by me for pause buffering in table tennis because, in fact, in that run, I actually saved a few minutes for pause buffering because in the first time I did that run, I actually just persevered and did the game normally, and I took about 7 or 8 minutes. So doing it with pause buffering, I saved like 4 or 5 for free. But yeah, that was a run on quite good pace, so I didn't really want to lose that pace. But yeah, we do get a bit of a slowdown, but we are going to have the pace pick up very quickly here. It does take a lot of concentration, so probably past this point, I will go quite quiet. There's not really much else to mention in this game. So hopefully, I will see you on the other side of 200. And there's every chance I game over here on about 190, or I've even lost runs to 199 before. So do be prepared for that. I'll probably do 2 or 3 runs where I get to, yeah, I'll do 1 more run if this fails. And if not, we'll pause buffer. Very, very, very nice RNG at the end there. Actually, the game being very nice to me. That might be a gold split. Oh, actually, no, we don't get score skip. That's absolutely fine. Doesn't really matter. That is a first try table tennis too. That's quite incredible. I don't really manage that in normal runs. If I had a better tanks, this would actually be a contender for a PB, which is quite funny. I go for so many PB attempts, and even my current PB, which was world record, lost 1.5 minutes in table tennis. So again, further proving that pause buffering is completely valid. So we are now 14 minutes ahead, incredibly. We are now in Charge. Now, Charge is a very quick game. This is one of the easier platinums in the game, casually. In terms of doing it first try, there are some janky things in this game, so we might have some mishaps. But hopefully we are fine. So we're going to get every scarecrow, and then as long as we finish with 25 seconds, we will get a time bonus of 25, 1 per second, or more, and that will give us our platinum medal. So it would be an injustice without mentioning Theon at this point. There's been a lot of people that have, in the past, put effort into learning Charge, but no one quite like Theon. Theon has put so much time into this game. He's put a world record progression out. It's on YouTube. You should go and watch it. It's half an hour over a single track in the game. 334 is actually my PB. It's not a PB by the centiseconds, but it is still 334, which is very nice. And 334 is my score skip. 335 would actually lose me time. And this looks like a gold, which is very cool. But yeah, he's put so much effort into the game, so definitely go and check him out. Next up's Laserhockey. Now, Laserhockey, I do have 4 minutes assigned, so we're hoping for a first try. But there is a chance that I do fail here, which is nice that we have 14 minutes at our disposal. So what we want to do is we want to keep firing using the side of the bat. And the side of the bat has a little bit more speed behind it, a little bit more of a kick. Now, the CPU will get wise to what we're doing eventually, and it's going to think, okay, now I need to get faster. Every goal you score is going to get faster. However, we need 14 goals here. If we concede goals, it is going to pause the timer as usual, but it is not going to increase the amount of points we need to score. So there is that to it. And apparently, I've heard, each goal that you concede, the CPU gets a little bit slower again. So you can use that to your advantage again if you like, just want to have a run on the board. That is completely an option to use. Just make sure you don't tie 14-14, because if you get a tie or worse, you actually won't get a medal. But as long as you win, the point thresholds come into account. So the shorter runs in this game, if you're not comfortable with laser hockey in this condition, the short runs like bronze, you only need 3 3 points there. And actually, we thought it was 5 early on in the game's history, but at some point, we tested all of the games. On one Sunday evening, I tested all of the games just to make sure we had all of the accurate medal thresholds, because I got fed up of us having the wrong ones. And we started to discover that we had shooting range wrong as well for basically every medal except platinum. So there is actually a cheat sheet, and unfortunately we're losing 3 seconds there. Absolutely fine. We're going to build up a little bit of speed with the puck here. Every hit we get, going to build up a little bit of speed, and every time someone scores, that speed resets. So here I'm just going to try my best to get past, just squeeze past the CPU here. There we go. 40 seconds for the final shot, or for the final goal, is quite nice. Normally I want at least 10, and 10 would be sort of a pot shot at the goal, really. That is not safe at all. 14, very nice. We're now going to turn the paddle round, and that will stop the ball dead, and that will finish us off. So we have 30 seconds again. Really nice time for donations. We don't normally get 30 seconds left over in a Platts run because this is just that hard. But nice to see. This actually doesn't lose any time to PB because I did concede a goal there as well. Now I am interested to see how many resets I had in Billiards, because this would be very, very close to a PB if I didn't take very long there. So I am very intrigued. I will look back at this run after and see what exactly I got. Because the fact that if I had a decent tanks, this could have world recorded is quite funny. We're moving on past laser hockey into Pose Me. Now, Pose Me, we need 1,200 points. It's a very, very long game here. Kind of normal length if you're playing bronze or silver medals, but here, 1,200 points, very, very long game. I do have a couple of minutes to spare on my estimate. So, like fishing, which we saw right at the beginning of the run, this is an invisible timer game. So each level has little patterns. The main one here is that on number 27, the bubbles are going to turn round. So essentially there's a 30-second timer here. We can't end the level until that timer's up. Now rainbow bubbles, which will spawn in if you are playing a little bit slower, or if there's a bunch of bubbles on the screen at once. Rainbow bubbles will spawn in and they will stop time. So they will stop the bubbles from moving down at all towards these bubbles, which will cause us to lose a life. The good thing is, that helps us to play safe, which is good in a no reset. The problem is, that pauses the invisible timer as well. So it then extends the length of the level. And not only that, but you can extend the length of your level off your own back, because once that invisible timer gets to 0, that just says, okay, no more bubbles for you. That's the end of the level. But the level doesn't end until you pop the final bubble. So you can either drop a bubble on the bottom and it will end the level, or you can pop the bubble yourself. The good thing is, if you pop the bubble yourself, you get these little perfect bonuses, which is 5 times the level number. And that gives us a lot more of an edge over this 1,200 requirement. So we can't finish levels early, but we can get more bubbles. Because you might notice, each time I pop a bubble, there has to be one on screen. Every single time. The moment I pop it, there is one appearing. And because I'm popping so many on this level, it is starting to get quite fast. So you can sort of play safe and pop less bubbles on these fast levels if you like to do that. That is absolutely fine. So here, this is a very similar pattern to earlier. It actually uses the exact same poses as earlier, except the bubbles are now turning slightly differently. Oh, actually, no. This pattern will appear later, rather. This is the first occurrence of this pattern. So if we remember that these poses are the first and second poses, later on we're probably going to see that level, and we will know which poses to use. So we'll always start off with the first bubble being the one that it gives us to pop as the demo as well. And this one, they do get quite close to the bottom, so again, if you do play quite slow here, very, very susceptible to a rainbow appearing. But if you're playing optimally, you'll always be popping bubbles straight away, so we won't need to worry about too many rainbows. There is one level where you're going to have a bunch of bubbles appear at once, probably about 20 or so. And in that case, a rainbow is very difficult to avoid. it kind of just appears if it wants to appear, unless you play very fast and also get kind of lucky. So again, same pattern as earlier, top 2 poses. And we sort of have these random JPEGs of, I don't know, animals and flowers and things. I mean, it's definitely a strange aura this game gives off, but it's an aura. Yeah, it definitely exists. Pose Me is a game with stock images. This is a first-party Nintendo game. Can we just, like, go back to that for a minute? This is a first-party Nintendo game. So we're getting the perfect bonuses. We will wave goodbye to the luck and we'll move back on to the next level. Level 7. We got a flower again. So, I mean, if it's worth mentioning, the stock images are always the same, depending on the level. And there are some we won't see. There are 16 levels here. We won't see all of them. There are runs where you do see all of them. Pose Me all levels on the category extensions board. And there's also the achievement runs, the ones I was mentioning earlier that get Table Tennis 999. You also have to get Pose Me all levels. And they're finishing off the level. Perfect bonus of 35. Very nice. So this is the level I was talking about where we're going to get a bunch of bubbles appear all at once. And there's our rainbow. I didn't play very fast there at the beginning, so I kind of expected that. So only having one bubble remaining to pop means that the rainbow is going to end early. We do have another rainbow to deal with. So the rainbow ending early, obviously it's not going to happen here because it was getting to the bottom of the level. I would rather preserve my perfect bonus, please. Unfortunately, they're not really able to stop the timer, the rainbow timer too early, so this is going to be quite a long level. But that's okay. Finishing off 40 points. So it looks like we're halfway. We are a little bit more than halfway, and this is a level where the bubbles are all upside down. And because of a funny quirk of the Wii Remote, we're actually only tilting the physical controller about 90 degrees. If you're familiar with like Wii Sports Resort skydiving, you'll probably know that nose diving straight down, which is a strat obviously in all sports in that game, just to finish skydiving as quick as possible, which is quite funny. You sort of hold it at a really weird angle because let's just not let those bubbles drop there. I was getting very behind. I'm surprised the rainbow didn't spawn in there. I was very close to that if it didn't spawn in. Yeah, so that game, you kind of hold it at a weird angle rather than straight down as you would expect. Here, the pattern of this level is that the bubbles are only going to change a few times. After this next change, that is the final bubble change. So that's the only pattern coded into the game. So no matter how fast you play here, you will not see a different pose, which is kind of interesting. They sort of programmed in those invisible timers, but didn't really anticipate people playing this level this fast. So you kind of get a bunch of one pose, which kind of makes it easy. Kind of makes it a bit of a point farm level compared to some of the rest of these. Now, we are approaching 1200, and we're only going to need a few more levels here. Now, this is one that's kind of awkward. Possible rainbows appearing here. And also, yeah, there you go, straight away. I literally just let 2 fall for a split second, and there's a rainbow. I will appreciate that, because it helps me refresh a little bit, especially on this level. But also, I'm playing so slow that we actually don't really get very many points here. It's very, very difficult to play fast on this one. But as long as we complete it, I'm absolutely okay with that. There we go, there's our 907. Perfect bonus of 55. You can see how they're adding up now. Level 12. We only have 5 levels left of the game. As long as you play at a moderate pace, you should get plat before the end, even if you have to play all 16 levels. Just going to focus here, because this is pretty much the level earlier with a bunch of bubbles spawning in at once, but a little bit faster in those sections. So good to be safe. And you might notice that the music actually resets after the rainbows as well, so you can't even really use it as a sound cue for when the level ends. So hopefully we do only have to play one or more level. World record actually finishes on this level, which is kind of absurd. To play that fast in Superimposed me is just ridiculous. I actually have an issue with my sensor bar where it sort of glitches in the top left of the screen. And I used to have an even worse issue with my previous sensor bar. So it makes me wonder if it's my my remote, actually. This is one that I've had for a while. Yeah, so my chat renaming these splits coming into play here, unfortunately. Okay, so here I'm actually going to let bubbles drop while we game over. Because we have to wait until the bubbles all fall anyway, I'm just going to wait until those fall just before we get to 1200. We're now on 1200. We can let the final one fall. A little bit of an optimization. It's difficult to do on that level because the bubbles are so slow. But yeah, that's 1201. That's the game done. And that's actually a gold, surprisingly. We move on to the final level. It's shooting range, and that will close us out very comfortably. So I will probably do tanks 1P 2C after this, just to show it off. A bit of a miss menu moment there. Yeah, this is the price I pay for making rename a split, only 2,000 channel points. So here, I'm going to play very safe. I'm going to try and hold my combo for as long as possible. He says missing literally the third shot. So there are some quirks in this game. You can actually pop balloons of the same colour consecutively, and they will give you 2 points rather than 1. And also the combo points, they will give you points for the combo -4 once you drop the combo. Or if you don't drop the combo and you add it on at the end, it will just do it just like that. So here, some of the shorter runs where you don't need too many points, bronze you only need 200, we actually wouldn't play the shooting section, similar to all games, because it actually spawns in more targets the more you shoot. So this is the really optimizable part in terms of score running. And also in terms of getting platinum as quick as possible so I can skip some phases later on. It will be really nice for me to do well here. Unfortunately, dropping combo, that's fine. We are going to lose 5 points for that. Sorry, 4 points. Dropping the combo. So here, this is another bit of an auto-scroller. You get 2 different kinds of points here. 5 if you get a quick hit on these clay pigeons, and 3 if they are in the background. Really nice hit there. This is a little bit of RNG here. But they will always spawn in. It's only at the end we want to make sure all of them are gone. Just get those there. So those are the final 2. If you don't shoot those really early, you will actually need to wait until they fall into the background. And here we're going to play a few cans just to be safe. They're a bit slow, but I would like my safety. And actually, I'm fairly sure they're slightly quicker than playing the UFO section in full. And here I do want to watch out for the birds. Nice. Dropping 1 can there, but it's not a score run, so I don't really care too much. And the final set of cans is going to give us 3. So we should hopefully get 45 points, as long as I don't drop any. They are fairly difficult. I used to be better at this as a kid, actually. There we go. We dropped 1, but that's absolutely okay. 5-5-7. We are going to play these UFO sections a little bit then. So normally, or optimally, we would just let 2 of those UFOs get the knees. And then 4 of the next set get the knees. However, here I will need to play a few more just to make sure we get enough points. So we are going to skip 1 phase. Sorry, no, we're not, because we have 1 knee left over. We get the final phase, which is loads of gold UFOs coming towards us. It's going to sweep up that final one. We get 6-2-2, and we get a huge PB. Not a PB. Maybe a PB. Huge run, honestly, of 112, which is really nice for a no reset, I would say. That does give us ample time to... That's a 112.48 because of when the banner appears. That gives us ample time to test 1P2C tanks. That gives us 17 minutes. So I need to have a look at how that run was. Because it looks like against PB we lost 9 minutes. So... Billiards, we managed to get out, I think, plus 5 or 6 minutes, so it's nowhere near a PB. We lost a bit too much time in tanks, I believe, but that is huge, honestly. And if it is a PB and I'm wrong, who knows? I mean, maybe I am wrong. Maybe it is a PB, but I will go back and verify. But yeah, we're not done, of course. I'm going to load up co-op. We will go back on the profile, and the good thing is we can just use this profile. We will load 2 players. And I do need 2 Wii remotes, you're absolutely right. So I have my second one here. We are going to use that with some rubber bands that are conveniently placed in the drawer. And I'll actually grab my batteries, which have just been on charge, conveniently. Lots of convenient things in this run. So we're going to grab these 2 batteries from here. Very hot, actually. That's fine. We will still use those. But yeah. Make sure I have these ready for the run. Definitely. So, player 2 is now on the screen. There we go. So, let's not go back. Okay, I didn't want to do that, but whatever. I'm going to use these rubber bands to stick these together. You don't have to do this, but I like to. It's how I get by in Tanks 1P2C. I got like 5 rubber bands here. So I will show off the setup in a moment once I've actually got them on. But essentially, as I was explaining earlier, Tanks is a very interesting beast in co-op. You have no lives. If both of the tanks die at the same time, then we have a problem. Because that's a game over. However, if one tank dies and the other one lives, you are revived into the next level. So we can play 1P2C here. Sorry, no, I've just loaded up 1 player. My bad. I'm going to load up my splits, though, quickly, just to demonstrate what exactly we're going to be going for. So we play Tanks Co-op 20. So, interestingly, co-op ends at... we're going to use guest C. Or the default me, pretty much. There we go. Yeah, so we're going to use this me, and we now have 2 lovely me's with us for us to use. Now, there are only 20 missions here. They are the same 20. They are slightly modified, though. We're going to have a few attempts at this. If I game over quite late, then that will be the end of the run. But essentially, there are 2 spawns for the tanks. And they are slightly altering the CPU spawns as well, based on the level. So this one, normally the CPU spawns at the top. But here, we actually get the CPU spawning in the middle. Just to sort of separate us out and make the game a little bit of an even playing field. Because you are sort of competing against each other as well in this. So here, I want to approach that grey tank. And I want to get this... okay, never mind. We did not get the optimization. That's absolutely fine. We will just go for that grey tank there. Okay, that is absolutely okay. We did get an after kill, which is interesting. Because the other one was still alive. That's fine. Our team survived longer. So here, I'm going to sort of aim these at different angles, so we can just fire them all straight in that direction. I'm going to sort of play a little bit safe with 1 tank, just to be sure we're absolutely okay. There we go. We're done. So you can start to see why this is a little bit suboptimal compared to actually using 2 real players. So here, the interesting quirks of 1P2C start to come out. So just play safe here. There we go. So that the 2 tanks there, they weren't really next to each other enough for them to not fire at me, but they just weren't firing anyway. Now, why was that? Well, and this is actually a bit of a scary strat in 1P2C. That is coming towards me. No, we're fine. That bullet almost SDing me. So what we have is you know, I want to fire the bullets at the wall for the speed, but at the same time, I can't really focus very easily on both of these tanks at the same time. So not only that makes it difficult, but also, oh, that one dying. No, that's a mission failed. Okay, that was really annoying actually, because that teal does not normally fire at that angle. We're gonna go again because we do have a little bit more time. Yeah, that fired at a bit of an awkward angle there. That's not too disappointing. Not really much I can do to prevent that. Because normally you're expecting them to fire at you. Now, the thing is with this game, as I was mentioning, Tanks 1P2C, the tanks will lock on to one of the tanks, one of the player tanks. And this is why it's good to keep one of them alive all the time. Or I guess it's good to keep one alive all the time anyway. But regardless of that, Not just in general to keep them alive, but also just in terms of the optimization of the run. Just going to defend myself against my own bullet there. Let's not die on mission 3, please. So, when the tanks, if they target the wrong one, they will just sort of stare at the tank and just not fire, which is quite funny that they even do that. Because you would expect them to actually look at the correct tank. They look at the right tank, and then they are targeting the wrong one, based on where they actually are, which is just really bizarre. But it is a thing, and it does help a lot. So here again, really difficult to use both. And there actually, again, same thing happening, targeting the blue tank. And again there, I think it might have even locked onto the red for a bit, even though it's facing blue. It's really hard to tell what they're locking onto. It's sort of a really strange game going on here. So I'm just going to use all 10 bullets in a straight line, just see what we can do with them. And then I'm going to fire those 5. Unfortunately, not getting anything there. I'm going to very swiftly move out of the way there, so I don't game over early again. I'm hoping we can at least get past 10. 10 would be nice for a couple of attempts. I will probably make this the last attempt, though. So I've only ever completed this twice, so I do not expect in the slightest to beat this in a run. But it is a nice little showcase. Whoa, that was very close. Okay, so it is unusual to see them firing at weird angles, but it is what they're doing. And then I'll just play safe there. Nice. So here, this is quite a nice one. I can sort of chill behind the wall with one tank, and then, yeah, some of them will lock onto that one. Fantastic. If not, and that one, and the blue tank ends up dying, whatever. I got a second life. Now, you're still locked onto red. This is summing up the Clyde behavior from this yellow tank. Literally just locked onto the wrong one the whole time. Still planting mines, still doing all that. Still not getting anywhere. Okay, so that is very nice. That was really good at the beginning there. So here, that yellow tank kind of approaching. I'm going to use the blue to go towards this grey. There we go. And then that yellow sort of just chilling. We'll get that killed there. On its own mine, apparently. Again, more Clyde behaviour. We're on mission 10 now. We do start to get to the interesting ones. Nice. That was a very quick kill. And an SD, but it does matter. Or not an SD, but it is a kill where I would have lost the life first, but we did have the other one alive, so it's absolutely fine. Now, I'm going to have the blue tank go over there just in case a rogue decides to plant a mine. In fact, no, I don't think any of these tanks can plant mines, but it doesn't matter. I want to play safe. Just in case I forget. We want that to not be next to the wall, because they would get blown up behind that wall, should any mines be there. And there's one life gone, so I'm going to charge in with the other one. There's one kill. There's 2. I'm not going to go that way, just because this is my normal route that I take in 1P. So I will absolutely stick to that in 2P as well. And there's one kill. There's the other one. Very slow, but it's absolutely worth it. 26 there compared to golds. It's such a difficult category to play on your own, honestly. But it is really nice to show off. So again, that green tank not dying to that angle, that's absolutely fine. I kind of feel obliged to play... That was a lucky bounce there. I kind of feel obliged to play a little bit risky, considering there wasn't much threatening the red tank there. Sometimes the red will just get fired at straight away, and that's what kind of makes this a bit of an annoying category, because that can just sort of happen, and there's not really much you can do about it, unless you've sort of got the self-awareness for you to be able to not just be aware of your surroundings with both tanks, but also move both tanks as well, which is just so hard to do unless you have a fixed strategy for the beginning. Now here, this is a very interesting level. They added a tank here. Not only is 14 an absurdly difficult level, they added in an extra green tank. Why, I have no idea. But they added in another one. It is here. We do have to deal with it. Now, I want to get that green out of the way as soon as possible. So I'm just going to keep firing at this gap. And then I'm going to go in with the red. Get that kill. That's nice. And a nice little teal as well. Very good split. The fact that I could still PB is very funny. Such is the way of a category so so short that I've only done 2 completed runs of. It does make the final missions very scary though. We're ahead! Wow! That would be quite something, wouldn't it? I'm not expecting anything, but it would be nice. So this is one of those missions again where you can just get dunked on by both tanks, by both purple tanks at the same time and get roasted. Nicely done by the green targeting there. Very good. We are ahead. 4 missions to go. Okay. Now this is another one where you can get dunked on very easily. Okay. You have to have that that aim locked on right in the beginning, otherwise you are dead. And then from here we're going to play the normal mission with the red. Never mind, that is a kill. Now we're going from the wrong angle with the blue, which is not ideal. I do not like playing from this angle. It just feels like playing mirror mode on Mario Kart. It's really bad. And it's jank, and it's backwards, and I don't like it. And I don't think I've ever had to do this in a run before. Okay. We're getting the practice in early. That's what I'm doing. Oh, nice. Okay, took a long time. It's absolutely okay. Mission 18. Okay, so moving out of the way there. And then also playing with that one. Okay, that's unfortunate. That's fine. Barely moving out of the way in time. We do have a green in the middle, which is in a very awkward position. I'm hoping I can kill these purple and the teal before that green starts to notice me. Because these are the awkward ones. These are going to really get in my way when I try and get rid of that green. There we go. It's starting to fire at me. Okay, I kind of have to break this wall now. And here we go. Oh, that's somehow we lived that. Okay. I was not sure where that green tank was because I thought it might have got moved or something. And again, another one where you can get dunked on at the beginning. Please do not dunk on me. That's a dunk. Okay, we are playing 1 life again. Let's be safe here. Let's be safe. Just fire all the bullets. There's so many tanks there. We can hit any of them. We did not hit any. That's absolutely fine. Got 2 of them there. We could get another one here. No, not quite. They're so defensive. They're so difficult to deal with. Okay. Holding the controller in a weird angle is also not helpful. I do really want to complete this now, though. And there's 5 tanks all grouping together. I have no idea why they're so grouped. They never do this normally. Maybe it's 1P2C sort of biasing them. Final mission. Still not free because, again, awkward layout. I'm just going to play with a single tank. It's the only way I know how to do this. And we have 2 to deal with. We are playing the Matrix here somehow live right now. Okay. It's so scary. Oh my goodness. Did not manage to get any at the beginning, which is so difficult. We got a kill. Come on. Oh, it's going to be so close. Please. Come on. Yes, we got it. That's sub 10. Oh my goodness. Wow. In a no reset. In 2 attempts. That's incredible. If that happened on a marathon, I would be so happy with that. Anyway, that was very successful, wasn't it? I mean, honestly, Billiards wasn't even very successful. We didn't have a single 3 break, and yet we still managed to pull that off. So I'm really happy with that. Hopefully this gets accepted into a marathon. That would be very nice. I did feel the need to make a submission video for this because it's so polarizingly different to do a no reset compared to doing a PB attempt that I could not just submit my PB. This had to be its own thing, and especially with Tanks 1P2C, I'm really happy with how that went. I feel like I might have slightly gone over an hour and a half, but to show off Tanks 1P2C, I'm really happy. Thank you everyone for watching that, and I'll see you around. Goodbye.